What I want, what I'm going for, the goal is to get all the benefits I can from learning a tool front to back, from really becoming comfortable with it. Okay, this video is about a general photography subject, a subject that a lot of people should be able to relate to, regardless of what brand or format that you shoot, film or digital or whatever. And that topic is getting to know your tools, your creative tools. Specifically, in this case, getting to know your camera. But I mean really getting to know it, where it becomes second nature to understand how the menus work and where the buttons are laid out and all these things. Having that as like a huge goal, getting to know your camera, sounds obvious. It sounds like something everyone does and everyone should do. But what I found is that over the past year and a half to maybe 2 years is that I don't think I've given myself a chance to completely know some of the cameras I use. And the fact that I have more than one digital camera right now and then more than one film camera, I think lends itself to not spending enough time using one camera. In and of itself, there's nothing really wrong with bouncing around from camera to camera. But there are benefits to really getting to know the tool that you're using. The balance between learning and experimenting with new cameras versus getting one camera dialed in and everything about it becoming second nature has been a tough balance for me to maintain the past year and a half. When I did my video recently about my film camera journey, I talked about reacquiring the Nikon F3 and how I was spending more time with this camera as my main film camera since I picked it up. That was one of the main motivating factors for this video, was realizing that I was getting much more comfortable using the F3 just in the last month that I've had this camera again than I did in the year or year and a half that I owned it before. And that reminded me a little bit of when I picked up the X-T1 last summer, in the fact that when I picked it up, I was, pleasantly surprised on how much I enjoyed using this camera. And it was pretty much my everyday carry for months, film or digital. It was the only camera I shot with besides my phone for months. So that really made me get comfortable with the camera. And I didn't do that specifically on purpose. It was just something that I did naturally. I just liked shooting with it, so I grabbed it every morning and would shoot at least a few photos a day if I could. So I've had these pockets where I have focused in on one camera, but it hasn't been consistent. Another huge motivating factor for this video was the fact that recently I've been building some film simulation recipes on my XH1. I spent a lot of time creating them on my XT1 last year, and I only had a few created on my XH1, so I wanted to create more using that camera. So over the past few weeks, I've been shooting a lot more with the XH1 for stills. The XH1, since I got it, I think not quite a year and a half ago, but since I got it, it's been my main video camera. It's what I shoot all my YouTube videos on for over a year now. And any other little video project I have, if I want some good quality, it's the one I take out. And really the only other, this shoots video, the XT1, but it's okay video. It's nothing great. And my iPhone shoots video, which is solid, but I'd rather shoot on an SLR or mirrorless. So the XH1's been my main video camera, but I haven't spent a ton of time taking stills with it. But over the past few weeks, as I was creating those recipes on it, I've really come to enjoy shooting stills on that camera. So it got me thinking, like, well, I haven't really given the XH1 as much time in the realm of still photography as I did the XT1 and some of my other cameras that I owned. I think one of the big reasons why was I've been overprotective of it. I didn't want to take it out of the house too much. I was worried, I would break it and then I wouldn't have a solid YouTube camera, whatever the reason. But being overprotective was definitely one contributing factor for me not taking it out and shooting stills with it enough. And getting the XT1 was actually a symptom of that, because I picked up the XT1 as a second Fuji shooter, something I could have, another body that I could put my Fuji lenses on, and it's something I wouldn't be too scared to take out and just shoot all day with every day and just throw in the car, throw in my bag. And I wouldn't be too worried about it because I wouldn't have so much money invested into it. Over the last few weeks, I've come to realize I need to make a conscious effort to spend more time shooting with the X-H1 and really, really learning it front to back. Now I shoot both film and digital, and I don't want to let that go quite yet. I don't want to let one format completely go. I don't want to go all in on film or digital. So right off the bat, I'm going to at least have to get to know two cameras. So one film camera and one digital camera. So what I think I might do is really concentrate on one film camera and one digital camera for the foreseeable future until I really feel a need, or I have a specific video or something I need to create, or another specific reason that makes me pick up another camera. The film camera, I think you guessed because I already talked about it, is going to be the F3. And I've already started this for the most part. With one exception, every roll I've shot since mid-January has been on this F3. So I'm off to a good start with this. But since I have to shoot a digital camera as well, because I shoot both formats, like I said, I think it's time to really go all in on the X-H1 as my daily driver for my street photography and city scenes. Like I said, that sounds obvious. Since I own the camera, I should shoot with it more often, but I just haven't because, like I said, I've been overprotective of it. So I think I'm going to put down the X-T1 for a little bit and go all in on the X-H1 to shoot anything and everything I can. This is just going to be a discipline thing because the X-T1 is fun to shoot with, and there's nothing wrong with bouncing between cameras. But like I said, what I'm going for, the goal is to get all the benefits I can from learning a tool front to back, from really becoming comfortable with it. And I haven't given myself a chance to learn the X-H1 to that degree. Now I could go completely all in and force myself to be disciplined by selling the X-T1 and putting that money towards an extra lens, or putting that money towards film stock for the F3 or other things. And I've thought about that. But I know eventually I'd probably want to pick up another X-T1 or X-T2. So I'm still debating that part. But I'll revisit that idea of selling the X-T1 another time. Right now, I'm just trying to think of what I need to do to make the X-H1 my daily carry. Make sure I have battery charged on a daily basis, have enough cards ready, and just go all in on it. For example, some of the things that you can learn from one digital camera versus the next, obviously, is button layout. Where your thumb rests, just a few centimeters left or right can make a huge difference from one camera to the next. Where the auto focus button is at, how easy or hard the shutter speed dial is to turn. Changing the ISO dial on the X-H1 versus the X-T1 is completely different. The X-T1 has the button that you have to turn, the X-H1 doesn't. There's little details like that between this camera and a lot of other cameras that when you add up, they slow you down enough that you do get a benefit from learning it, from becoming more comfortable with it. The ironic thing is, when you're a beginner and all you have is one camera, this is the only choice you have. You have one camera, you have to learn that camera. So there's a benefit from being a beginner and just having that access to that one camera and that one lens. Like when I just had my Olympus OM10 way back in the day when I was younger, it was the only camera, only lens I had to learn it. I had no choice. When I got my Canon T4i, about 10 years ago, I had to learn that one. It was, the only camera and lens I had. And now I love the fact that I can experiment with cameras. I have 2 Fuji cameras. I have multiple film cameras. I've owned some Canon digital. I've owned Nikon digital. So I've enjoyed this bouncing around a bit. So this is about creative discipline and not about access to gear or anything like that. This is about learning the gear you have. And this is what I'm telling myself. It's about learning the X-H1 and giving it the attention that it deserves and benefiting from that. Having a YouTube channel like this isn't always conducive to this idea because camera reviews and lens reviews are such a huge part of the algorithm, and that's what feeds the views and the subscribers and whatnot. But I do feel that in the long run, if I spend some time getting to know the X-H1 as best as I can, everything will pay off. Everything will benefit in the long run. And I will still be creating recipes, obviously, for it and doing lens reviews here and there. But this video is almost a video to myself saying that this is something you should do because this is something you haven't done yet. and you haven't really reaped all the benefits from this camera because you haven't spent enough time using it. I feel like I'll always be learning aspects about photography and art in general, but I do know that in order to set myself on the best path to learn as much as I can and to at least attempt to master some aspects of photography. I'll never master photography or multiple subjects of photography, but to at least attempt to master some aspect, my little corner of photography, I need to understand and master the tool that I'm using to create. I'm sure some of the viewers out there that don't have a camera and they're trying to save up for a camera, or some viewers that only have one camera are like, duh, this is what, this is the situation I'm in, or, oh, you're super lucky because you even have that choice. And I realize I am lucky that I have 2 digital cameras and a few film cameras. I am super lucky. But again, that doesn't mean that it's benefiting me, because to a certain extent it's not. Bouncing between cameras, in theory, I mean, it can hurt in some aspects. Not hurt, but can stifle you and slow you down. And so this is just me being conscious of that aspect of what I've been creating or not creating, and trying to change that. For some of you that have more than one camera, or that maybe have bounced around from brand to brand or camera to camera, even if you haven't owned more than one at one time, if you've sold and bought multiple times, it's kind of the same idea. You ask yourself, and this is again me asking myself the same question: have you invested enough time into getting to know your camera? Have you squeezed all the capabilities from that camera before you explored other bodies or other brands, or picked up another one that you already own? And I know for me that the answer to that question is no, I haven't. I have not done that with the XH1. So like I said, this video is as much for me as it is for you to watch and enjoy, but I have a feeling a few of you will connect to this issue, that bouncing around from camera to camera has been less than beneficial. So this is kind of my declaration of me telling myself that for right now, for the time being, and I don't know for how long, I don't know if I'll put a time limit on it, I'm going to be using one film camera, which is going to be this F3, and one digital camera, which is going to be the XH1, which is the camera that I'm filming with right now. And whenever I do a video that requires me to hold the XH1, which I'm going to do in a little bit, I'll use my iPhone to record that video. So that's pretty much it. It's a little bit of a rambling video, but this subject of committing to one camera has just been on my mind a lot lately. So I wanted to see what you guys think. And the lens aspect of that is interesting. I'm still debating on, is it one camera, one lens, or one camera and multiple lenses? But we'll talk about the lens aspect of this another time. But please let me know in the comments if you can relate to this issue, or if you have any tips on this whole thing. Again, that's it for now. I appreciate all my subscribers, all my viewers. My subscriber count is going up. Every time I get a new subscriber, I'm jazzed. It's so awesome. I don't take for granted any one of you, any single one of you. So I appreciate all of you, and thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.